This is the first one. We're testing this out. It doesn't really matter what you do. Oh, you went live? Okay, hey, welcome everybody. Let's just test out some technical difficulties. Make sure this is going out. It is. Okay. Okay,
Today's
cool.
what?
Hey,
Wednesday.
it is Wednesday. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is going to be a new thing that I wanted to do. I came up with this on the spur of the moment as a joke, but then I started thinking about it and wanted to take it seriously. I interview people. Some of them you're going to know, and some of them you're not going to know. The first one, aka our test subject, is Jason Rojas, who most of you who are going to be watching this video are going to know. So I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions, kind of try to get to know him a little bit better, and we'll see how it goes. So, Jason, to start out with, we're going to go back to the very, very beginning. So, why don't you tell me where you grew up?
What
Where did you grow up?
the hell? What kind of question is this? What the hell?
We're getting personal. This isn't going to be your typical VC video.
Oh,
Are
jeez.
you able to tell us? If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. We can go even more personal.
I grew up in Bedrock. No. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. Right, home of the Chicago Bears, the Cubs, and the Bulls.
Okay. And is that where you lived most of your life?
No.
Where did you live most of your life?
I've suffered myself in Ohio. That's where
Ohio?
sort of I went to college there twice. Got tortured, you know. If you look at the OSU stadium and you go higher up, that's where my money is, in the cheap seats. There you go.
Okay. And so you grew up in Chicago. That's nice. So, who first introduced you to music in your life?
I believe that would be my mother. Key story here, when she was running around chasing my brother, who was up to no good, she would leave me in the crib with a transistor radio. And that soothed my soul, the transistor radio. So there you go. You can blame my mother for this madness, right?
So, what kind of radio stations did you listen to growing up in Chicago?
I believe it was at the time, the 60s, 70s rock pop station. Okay, we're going to answer this question. It's Jazzy Jeff. Sorry to interrupt you, Joel. Cubs or Sox? Oh my gosh. I'm not a baseball guy, but I guess Cubs. Wrong choice, right? Look at this. He totally got the invite. I don't know why he's not here.
No, this is not a VC video. And Chad, if you can do me a favor, listen. But this isn't a thing. If you ask
No,
questions, you're gonna get Jason all confused.
no, I'm not going to confuse.
Yeah, you're gonna get him. You're gonna
I
get
played
Jason
this.
all
I
worked
played
up.
this. I played this. We're already worked up. You
Okay,
understand?
Jason's worked up. He's been feisty all damn day. Okay, so you grew up in Chicago, listening to transistor radio in the crib. So
Correct.
what was your earliest like specific memory of listening to music? What was the first actual artist or album or song?
Probably what I remember the most is probably the Everly Brothers, their harmonies. That's what I
Okay.
remember. And then after that would be the Beatles, of course. Then after that, it's worse, like Tony Orlando.
Okay. So this explains a lot. We're learning more about Jason here. Okay, so what was the first record, cassette, or CD that you ever remember owning that you owned?
Cassette? Nah. It's like my family is so middle class. I don't remember buying any cassettes until maybe junior high, grade school, maybe. I think, trying to think here. Maybe it was Kansas. I was not cool. Oh, geez, come on now.
Everybody is. This is a no judgment zone. We're just trying to learn a little bit about everybody, and there's no judgment here. So you bought yourself a Kansas cassette when you're around in junior high.
It's either that or GNR. These are the only ones I remember, like Kansas or Guns N' Roses. But I mean, let me think about it, Joel. Let me like put my, you know, maybe for Concert Buddy. Like, look at this guy. You're the one
Don't
who's
get
watching.
distracted. Turn the chat off. Stop.
Well, it's
Stop
already
getting
on you
distracted.
anyway.
Okay.
I'm not distracted. Let me put on my thinking cap here. So this one goes out for Concert Buddy. Probably the first cassettes would probably be like maybe Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog, perhaps. And then of course Huey Lewis in the News Sports. So shout out to you, Concert Buddy.
So you're going with like basically your typical popular
Correct.
radio artists
Right.
back in the
The
80s.
the only thing that was way different back then was that my brother had an older friend, and he listened to hip hop and rap, and he would make us mixtapes, which I mean, back then, I mean that was sort of unheralded. Like you got to think about it. You're getting a mixtape in mid '80s, right? And it's all hip hop.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where it started, right?
Yes. So that guy Ian, I don't know if he's watching.
Don't get distracted, Jason.
No, I'm not.
Focus
It's always
right
good
here.
to look at the thing. He was ahead of the time, you know, by putting that stuff in there, and my brother and I would listen to him. I don't know if we have those cassettes anymore, but they're very life changing because it was like Run DMC, Biz Markie, LL Cool J, you know, and at that time, those guys were breakthrough artists, right?
Yeah. I remember LL Cool J. I had Mama said knock you out.
Like that
I'm
would be
gonna
on
knock
there.
you out.
Like Slick Rick would be on there. Those are the ones I can think on the top of my head. Like later on, I don't think he was ever into the Beastie Boys. I think he thought they were, you know, what do you call it? Bandwagoners, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. So did you ever play any instruments?
No, I was a late bloomer. I didn't get to play instruments until like high school as a late bloomer.
Okay.
That whole thing about performing live, that was not my thing. I was a very shy kid.
Okay. What about any concerts? You go to any concerts as a kid?
I believe my parents took me to see James Taylor and BJ Thomas back when I was a kid. I do not remember that.
You remember going, but you don't remember the experience itself?
Correct.
Okay. So what kind of music did your parents listen to?
They listened to 60s, 70s classics. They were into the Beatles. They didn't listen to anything hard. They were not fans of Led Zeppelin. Very interesting, Joel. I asked my father about Led Zeppelin, and then he just said, I'm not into that hard shit.
Okay.
Like he kind of thought that hard rock music led to drugs, right? Like hard drugs, gang violence, you know. That's not that was not the way.
Okay. So let's skip ahead a little bit to your teenage years. Start when you kind of coming into your own. What kind of music defined your teenage years?
Teenage years. You
Yeah,
sing
like high
like
school, like freshman, sophomore year.
it would probably be like 90s alternative for sure. I finally had friends that were into music, and we were into the times, you know. And at that time, no parent was going to be interested in any of those bands, like whether there was like Shudder to Think, Jeff Buckley, you know.
So how did you go about discovering music around that time?
There was a late night TV show called Brand X on Cincinnati, and they would play some weird stuff. Stuff that was not very popular, like Cocteau Twins, Tones on Tail, who eventually
Yeah.
became Love and Rockets. They played that Echo and the Bunnymen, the one without Ian McCulloch, and that's when it like hit me, you know.
Right. On. So you weren't watching MTV.
Well, yeah, well, no, I did, but then when I had MTV at that time, they were playing Def Leppard. I didn't get it. I was like, I thought they were gonna play like all this great music, and they did not. They played like Love Bites, you know. So,
Okay.
like, how can you relate to hair metal? Do you understand? Like, you're gonna see that. That's just I mean, I wasn't part of that era. I mean, maybe Rob Walker was, but I was not.
So what
Or the
else?
Pied Piper.
So in your teenage years, besides like watching Brand X, what else like what other kinds of relationships did you have with music? Were you sharing music with friends? Were you
Yeah,
making
yeah.
mixtapes of your own?
No, no mixtapes. Just sharing it with my friends. They were not as adventurous, unfortunately. But I mean, at that time, as you know, in the '90s, like there were like really a lot of bands coming out that were not mainstream. So that gave them like, what is it? Nirvana opened that door for all those bands,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Do you have any concert experiences from your teenage years that you remember?
Yeah, of course. I went to a lot of concerts in the '90s, mid '90s. Like, as we were talking about before, I've seen Jeff Buckley, right? He opened up for Julian Hatfield. I've seen Baroque Assault. I saw your favorite band, Throwing Muses, Belly. I've seen the Gin Blossoms and their prime. I'm trying to think. Shudder to Think, probably one of the best concerts I remember. I've seen Blues Traveler, and they could put you to sleep anytime. I saw the Black Crows during the third album. What is the third album? Amorica, that record. I saw King Crimson in the '90s. So that would have been during that, what, Three is a Pair or something? That era. Yes, Rob Walker, I did see the Breeders. They're amazing. I even saw Mike Watt with, what's his face? Eddie Vedder. And then Hovercraft, Eddie Vedder's wife, opened up for them. The Foo Fighters quite a bit. I regret not seeing Uncle Tupelo, but I got to see Wilco and Sunvault so many times.
Did you ever see Sweet 75?
No, I think
That
that
was
was like later.
that was Chris the
Yes,
the band that Chris had for like a split second.
right.
I
They were not
somehow I saw them completely by accident.
really
They
here.
they just happened to be opening for a band that I was at. I don't even remember what the band was. I was at some show and the opening band comes on and I'm like, holy shit, that's Chris. Like what the fuck? It was a very strange experience.
So Jazzy Jeff, I also got to see Sugar a few times. I did like a Instagram like pick of all the concert tickets that I still had. Wow. Now we're gonna just delve away here to ask and answer Ryan's question here. Have you ever been to an Andy DeFranco concert? Now, I almost went to it because the girl that I was dating at the time was totally into her, but I never did because I mean that album cover that Joel showed like Monday, yikes.
Yeah, okay, we're not getting into that. We're gonna gloss right over that. So was there any I want to dig a little bit deeper here. In your teenage years, was there any album or artist that you felt like extremely close to? Not just something you liked, but something you felt like a really personal connection to?
Sure. I think at the time I was like totally into that Jeff Buckley thing. His influences were so wide. Like he didn't have enough original material, and then he did a lot of covers. If you know that record, right? So he covered Nina Simone, right? And then he covered Benjamin Britten, which is like more of a well, more. I wouldn't call it like a sort of pre 40s or 50s kind of, and then of course Leonard Cohen. Like the whole thing was just so diverse, you know.
So was that kind of a gateway to maybe other styles of music?
Of course, because when he died, like his demos were circulating around, and when I found out that he was into Genesis, because he covered Back in New York City, right? I don't know if you ever heard that album, Sketches from My Sweet They're Drunk. Like he was covering so many different things. It felt like, you didn't have to be embarrassed to say that you like Genesis.
Yeah. Was that a thing where when you were a teenager, did you feel like social pressure to like certain artists or
Sure, of course. But I always did my own thing. I didn't really care. I didn't have too many mentors back in like high school. I think everything was just open. If you liked something, then you liked it. You didn't have to explain yourself. So
Okay. So when did you start? My understanding is you were in a band. When did that start? Like, what period of life were you in when you got into playing music?
In high school, I was in some really terrible bands.
Yeah. What instruments did you play?
I played guitar and bass at the time. I had my own band, but it never, played outside of the basement in the beginning. Like we just all got together and had a laugh. You know, I
Okay.
think I aspired to do more, but I don't think they did. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so how would you, just from your, it sounds like from your younger years, like in elementary school to your teenage years, would you say your kind of your taste matured a little bit? You went from maybe listening to a lot of the stuff that was highly influenced by your parents' listening habits to kind of finding your own way.
Yeah, right. I mean, at the time too, what we're missing here is like in junior high or early high school, I would go to the library. I couldn't afford to buy records, like we're doing today, at
Yeah.
an obscene amount, I would just check out records and CDs, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's like a resource that a lot of people don't. I mean, you can still do that today. People don't realize that a lot of libraries, especially in the bigger cities.
Can we take a pause here? We're gonna show this.
Yeah.
Okay. See, this is the vinyl community supporting Joel here. This is his channel. Let's sub him up and push him over 100. So there you go. Thank you, Concert Buddy. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that concept, buddy. Which, by the way, since we're doing plugs right now, I kind of had this, I kind of mentioned this whole interview thing as a joke. That was probably only funny to me. It's not like a traditional joke,
Haven't
like a
had the joke
punchline.
questions yet. Thanks.
But um, when Chris Grooseeker and Jason said that they were willing to do it, it got my brain start thinking. And what my plan is I want to do a series of these interviews. I want to interview people one on one, kind of talk about music, talk about the relationship to music, and kind of just get to know them a little bit better. So if anyone out there is interested, reach out to me, and we'll see if we can
You
make
better
something happen.
you got to provide your email or contact, right?
Yeah, yeah, you have to figure it out. If you really want to do it, you can. You
Oh
can.
my gosh. Just
Not
just
just
just hit
you can.
up Joel on Instagram, please.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. Yeah, on Instagram, or I think you can message through YouTube, can't you? Or make a comment on this video.
Yes.
Anyway,
Let So Joel, let's take a quick pause here. Like,
yeah,
am I a Tim Buckley fan? I did hear of him. Yes, I was. But mostly the middle, like the Star Sailor to the later era when he went all funky. That's like a great era for him. I wasn't really into that whole folk thing. Like it just sounded a bit hokey, I guess, in my opinion. See, even Ryan likes this idea. So, and oh my gosh, shout out to Mr. Cruz here. He has subbed up to you. Now you have to buy John Hartford records. So there you go, Joel.
okay, deal. So is there any artist that you did not like, or maybe even disliked quite a bit that you later came to appreciate?
Uh, it's a good question. It's a
Like you
tough
kind of
one.
mentioned, like feeling kind of societal, like social pressures to not like admit that you like certain
Oh,
artists.
sure. We
So
can
there's a
talk.
little bit of that, but
Yeah, we can
I
talk
just,
about Pearl Jam. I always thought they're the biggest fucking. Excuse me. We're gonna go loose here. They were just always like the bad company of the '90s. They had a hit right off the bat. Then you had that video with Jeremy. Like, come on. Like you can't tell me that Jeremy video was not emo enough. Like Eddie Vedder was shaking in the video. Come
yeah.
on.
Well, I mean, I think the band themselves. I don't want to make this whole thing about Pearl Jam, but I think even the band themselves admitted that wasn't the way they wanted to come out of the gate, which is why they revolted after that. Right?
So yeah, I never was a fan. All my friends loved them. I just thought they were trash. Like, so sorry, Vinyl Piper, Pearl Jam.
But you later came to appreciate them, or is this just a band that you
I
like and
think
you
when
still don't?
Vitology came out, my friends were like, they were unsure about this. And that's when I said, oh, finally, they got really good, you know?
So you just like to be a contrarian. There's a little part of you that's like,
Yeah, maybe. But no. Like, honestly, I thought when Vitology came out on, because it came out on vinyl before the CD, I believe, right?
Mhm.
So my friend, he bought it the day of. And all I can remember is like when we had it, I was like, this is the Chicago record. They have totally lifted the Chicago, the band, right? They lifted their album design for this Vitology. Like, that's very smart, you know?
Okay. I mean, I never heard Eddie Vedder say that Chicago was an influence, but it's always possible.
Oh, because no one called him out on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one at
Yeah.
the time, like, no one wanted to reference Chicago in Pearl Jam. Like, you would definitely be losing all your cool points. You'd be losing your edge.
So at this point, getting into your high school years, you were just checking out CDs on from the library. When did you start building a collection of your own?
The flea market back in the 90s, they were, you got to remember those CDs were more expensive and the records were like, what, less than five, right?
Mhm.
There was a guy selling records at the flea market. He'd always bring stuff, you know? They were just so cheap. And it wasn't just CDs I checked out from the library. I would check out records, and that was the beginning of the end for me back then because I checked out the Bruce Springsteen live record, that's 75 to whatever, 80. I checked out Coltrane Blue Train and the Birds albums, and I compared them to the CD, which probably shouldn't have done that. Put me on a bad path.
Well, you were doing shootouts back in your high school years.
Right. So, I mean, to compare them, like, it was just wild to say that the stereo image was different, you know, where something came out more on the record or, you know, than on the CD and vice versa. And then since I couldn't, like, you know, my parents were not really, you know, into music or, you know, I would have to go to the record store and ask them these inane questions. I mean, can you imagine me as the teenager asking some old guy like you, Joel, at your age now, back in the day, like,
Hmm.
why does this sound different? And the guy would look at me like he could give me a snarky answer, you know, or he could be an asshole, but he was just like, he is explaining to me that things are different. Like, they were not meant for the CD format, they were meant for this album format, and that meant, you know, that they were mastered a certain way. Do you see where I'm going? Like, he is trying to like lay it on, like, and I was just like, oh shit, like, I hadn't thought about it, you know. Like, if you grew up in today's age of streaming, you would never know that there was a side B. You understand? You would just get this whole flow of songs, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it had a huge effect on how artists made albums. You know, they used to. That's why, like today, they front load the album. So, like the hit songs or whatever are tracks one, two, and three. Before they would save some hit songs for track B1, B2. You know, because people would flip the record.
Yep. So that I mean, and that's the thing too. Like, I wasn't raised on records. I was raised on songs and music, and then in order, you know, you get deeper in that format, right?
Mm.
It was just a different thing. I mean, especially like with that cassette thing, if you didn't have the auto, you know, to get to the other side, right?
Yeah, the autoplay where it
Yep.
flip it flipped the head. So where did you go next? So when you finally discovered that there may be differences in the sound quality for the different formats, what did you do next after you kind of?
I let it go. I thought it was hokey shit in a way. Like, I didn't want to do any more comparisons. I thought the record sounded good. So then, and at that time too, it was more of a frugal, you know, practical thing. Why would you want to spend $25 on a CD when you can get the record for $2, right?
But did that also like influence what you were listening to? Because you're probably limited in what was on vinyl at the flea market, right?
Sure. But I mean, I would be going as soon as I got my, you know, driver's license, then it was game on, So I would be going to record stores in downtown Cincinnati. There was like a couple of them. There was one, I don't think it's there anymore. It was called Wizards. It's a great place. That really influenced me a lot. Like the expensive records that they had on their wall. I couldn't afford them, but I had kept them in my mind.
Okay.
Let's answer some of these inane questions, Joel. This is great. Right. What was Get out of here. No. Kevin Gray.
Okay, well listen. We'll jump off from that. So
I can tell him actually. It's
Yeah, well,
probably
yeah.
it's probably like those reissues of like Tom Petty, and he did one of Steely Dan, I believe. And to actually revisit that years later, Ryan, it was shocking, to say the
so it was a
least.
Tom Petty reissue.
Yes, it was Damn the Torpedoes. I think he cut it on MCA.
So okay, well let's talk about that for a second. Damn the Torpedoes, you could at any time, even today, you could go to any record store and probably find that for like $5. What made you get the reissue back then?
No, well, I didn't. No, I'm talking about now. I bought the reissue just when it was for cheap at my local. But I'm just saying, back then, it was just cheap. Do you understand? It was like $2.
Yeah, the original was.
Right. You took a chance on it. No, I had the reissue. I never had the original until later.
Oh, okay. So you bought the Kevin Gray reissue.
Yes, not knowing that it was Kevin Gray.
And what was your reaction? You just didn't like the way it sounded?
I didn't care about the sound. I just didn't like the music. Wasn't into Tom Petty at the time.
Wait, so your hatred of Kevin Gray started because you didn't like the Damn the Torpedoes album, period?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. So when was your first
But
time?
I'm just saying,
hearing-
looking back, because now after having that experience and then buying the original version, I was like, wow, this sounds so much better than what was the version that I had. And this is why I'm filling out the store for you. So then, a couple months ago, I was like, oh, that's that reissue that I had. And then I go buy it. And then I'm looking at it going, why is it? It's like the Super Saver series. If anyone familiar in the chat, it's like a $sign with a silver thing. It was a sticker.
I knew they did it for CDs. I never got it.
No, they did it for vinyl. So they did it for Damn the Torpedoes. They did it for the Steely Dan catalog. And most people don't know that Kevin Gray had cut them, probably from digital files or whatever, or even analog, but they sound like crap,
So how old are you at this time?
I'm trying to think here. At that time, when I was doing that, maybe would have to be maybe my sophomore, junior year in high school.
Okay. So at that time, you hadn't actually delved into the Tom Petty catalog. This would be your first time.
No.
You're hearing the reissues and you're not liking it.
Correct. Some records, it was the beginning. Some records sounded better than others. It was eye-opening. Again, you couldn't necessarily ask people about that. Not too many people were focusing on fidelity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've similar stories where I thought a record sounded bad and I couldn't have told you why. But that's interesting.
Should we answer some of these questions real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Mr. Cruz, 46. Okay. Oh my gosh, Joel, you just hit 100. That was what, during the pandemic? I moved from Austin to Minnesota in 2021 or 2022.
And was that just for work or?
Family and friends. I decided nothing was going to open. We had no, at that time we had no idea what's going on, right? Offices were not reopening, so
Okay.
so we gotta give thanks to the panel here for Joel helping Joel hit that 100.
Cool. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about high school. You're listening to a lot of the alternative records, kind of typical what was happening there. What about when you start getting into your 20s? You're headed to college. How did your music taste evolve?
Since I don't know if you ever been to Columbus, but on High Street, you had like so many record stores, which would be like Magnolia, Thunder Pussy, Singing Dog. There was a CD place I can't remember, and then there was CD Game Exchange. Then there was Used Kids, Johnny Go's House of Music, and if you went farther north, you got Goldmine Records. Right? Do you see what I'm like naming off here? It was like a paradise. Like you could just walk up High Street and hit them, and then there would be some sort of like antique stores, and you can go ruffle through that. It was a paradise back in the '90s, like
Was it mostly
unbelievable.
used?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
So
talk to
some
me.
new, some new, some used. You know.
Were there any artists that you remember discovering in your 20s that you didn't know in your teens?
Uh, yes and no. I'm trying to remember a couple of them. But I think at that time you go to college and you're sort of like in the melting pot. You just go with the flow, right? The thing was more important for me. Like I wasn't necessarily discovering like new music anymore. I was discovering more old music with a few like new friends, right? So there was a friend of mine who was definitely into folk music. So we'll shout out to Pat Gordon. Pat, if you're watching, you know, I'm gonna give you credit here. He was more into folk, like Joan Baez and Bob Dylan. And I was more into Velvet Underground, and we just swapped, basically. Like he let me borrow the Biograph Dylan box set, and I lent him the Velvet Underground box set. That was it. That was the beginning.
The
So
beginning of.
beginning of the end. Just kidding. No, the beginning of like learning more that like it's also about songwriting, right? Tradition, right? To learn how to do these, to write songs, you know?
Very cool.
But I mean, we also had like, you know, bad influences. Like Pat had a friend and friend John, and he told me that, you know, Alanis Morissette was the better, you know, songwriter. I mean, he may or may not have been right about that, but then he said that Blink 182 was the next Beatles. That's completely laughable. So, John, if you're watching, you were completely wrong on that. Like, I don't care if Blink 182 has a reunion, you're still wrong. Blink 182 were not as influential as the Beatles. That's a joke, man. It's a joke.
Wait, so Alanis Morissette was a better songwriter than who? I missed that part.
Well, I think John, he just didn't have any like music background. He might have changed his opinion today, but that's all he knew. He just knew that she was better. And I mean, to be honest, what's her big hit song? You Ought to Know.
I mean, she had a bunch of singles off the first album.
I mean, do you think You Ought to Know is like the biggest song ever?
I'm not sharing my opinion.
Joel, your face says it all. It is not.
I mean, it's an album. It's an album of its time. It very much is a '90s. I mean, it very much encapsulated what the '90s was kind of about. You know.
You know, side note, I gave two of my friends a copy of that record on vinyl, like, because I had finally got the original and I compared them both, and they're not bad. The reissues are not bad. I haven't heard that MoFi One Step would be cool to do that. But they both complained about the sound of the reissue. I didn't think they were going to do that. Like, I was just giving a gift to a friend. They were like, this thing sounds like poop. And I didn't want to be like, I know. I didn't want to say that.
Okay. So has music always been, you know, a important presence in your life?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's sort of like the muse, the companion, right? That's, you know, we're gonna go deep now, right? Like I've had some relationships, you know, throughout my life, you know, and they come and go, but the music has always remained, right? So there you go.
So can you talk to me a little bit about any specific music that's maybe helped you through, you know, difficult times in your life, like specific albums or anything? And you can show things off if you want.
I can't think of any on the top of my head right now. No. It's
Okay.
just, it's always like, it wasn't like I was listening to music for the answers. I'm not Graham Nash,
Okay. Well, different people have different kinds of relationship to music, so
Well,
I
of
just
course,
wanted.
when you interview Dom, I'm pretty sure, and Grooveseeker and anybody else, it's got to be different. I think it was just at that time, like I was listening more to the melodies, right, and then eventually the lyrics would seep in. I think when I started listening to, I know this one's for Dom, when I started listening to the lyrics of Pet Sounds, right, that was sort of like a opener, right, that you can get all emo about it. Because I don't think like the Beatles were that emo, you know? They were not going to go deeper. Like John Lennon would do that on the solo record for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how would you compare your taste in music today compared to when you were in high school?
It's grown just quite a bit, more variety because of the international and stuff like that. Like, I kind of wish I knew more about that back then. That's the only difference. In some ways, like I haven't changed, but I mean, it's sort of refined what I listen to musically, of course. It's like more variety. And of course, the fidelity is different. You know, I don't make assumptions that like it's going to always sound like this. It could always change, you know, for sure.
So, what was your first experience? Like, talk to me a little bit about the first time you heard music from outside the country, like the more international flavor. Like, how did that?
My old college roommate, he had a lot of Brazilian records. That was the beginning. And then I had a friend, David Fortner. Dave, if you're watching, he was also into Brazilian records. Like he had a very eclectic taste for sure. He let me borrow some CDs.
Any particular albums you like? Brazilian albums?
He had a comp of that Os Mutantes record. That was like wild. That was really different than what I've been hearing up until that time. And then it took a while, especially meeting different people. Like once I got like my grown up job, right?
Hmm.
I met other people from other countries and then they were suggesting music. And it didn't really take hold until like, you know, I started traveling for work, you know. Okay, well, let me answer some of these questions. Let's take a pause here, Joel.
Yep.
Yes. Who's the guy from the Ass Ponies? The lead guy. He worked at the flea market, and I would run into him sometimes while buying records, and we would chit and chat for a bit. He's a big record collector.
What we're going to do is it looks like our friend the Wolfman's going to be streaming in about 15, 20 minutes. So we'll go up to that and then we'll,
Hey, well, is he streaming? How do you know he's streaming?
because it's on his channel.
Do you want me to text the Wolfman? Hold back.
No, no, no. That's perfect. That's plenty of time. That's a perfect cutoff time. Um, so, do you think in general that music has shaped who you are?
Better or worse?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I've ever shied away from the songs, you know, the pop sound. You know, it could go. I don't think I go as far as like esoteric or contrarian as say like Stunty would, you know, or Jose per se. I've always liked the song Craft, right? It has to have a catchy melody for me, you know, in order to like it. In a way, like you can also subvert it. I mean, that's why I appreciate like a band called Wire, right? Like they've always subverted things. I mean, people don't, and especially like Gang of Four, people don't like their later records, like the Hard record. I think the Hard record is one of their best records, you know?
Okay.
Okay, let's answer Elliot's question real quick. Best acoustic guitar you've ever owned. My gosh. Elliot, I used to own a bunch of 70s Epiphone guitars that were made in Japan. I had like two 12 strings. Those were my favorite guitars. I love them. They had a very more woody sound compared to like the lighter wood sounds of like a Taylor or Martin or like, but I mean, maybe the Epiphone sounded more like a Guild. Are you familiar with the Guild, Elliot? It's more like a darker wood sound. There you go. Went all music nerdy.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you still playing your instruments?
Not really. I have them, but I don't really play them
You haven't
often.
jammed out?
Nah.
There used to be this thing. There used to be this bar. I think it was up in the Dallas area. They had, um, you know how like here they do karaoke where you go up and you sing a song. This was like a band karaoke, so it was a full band, right? Guitar player, drummer, bass player, singer, etc. And I think maybe they even had horns and stuff like that. And but you could go up and you would take the place of one of the musicians, whatever instrument you wanted to play, and then you would start to play something, and then they would kind of kick in and they would like play along with you, and it'd give you that live band experience. Um, and I remember one time I went up there and I said, "Let me play the bass," because at the time I had played guitar, but I had been practicing some like bass. Just like scale, like some like blues riffs on the bass guitar. So I was like, let me take the bass, and I said I'm going to play a blues lick, and it was just something super basic, and then they just kicked in, and it was amazing. I was just like, damn, dude, because when you're sitting in your room, just sitting there playing with yourself, like the bass guitar. The reason like I think a lot of people don't play bass is because it's not the kind of thing you can really play by yourself. I mean, you can, but it's just not as fun.
Are
Um,
you like a bass player?
No, no, I don't really play anything anymore. But back when I played guitar, I had a bass and I would just like just noodle around on it.
There was a guy named Mike Rock. He played locally in Columbus. He was
Mm,
in this band, a very like infamous, I think like Cleveland punk band, like in the '70s. But that's where he came from. I can't think of the name, but they're one of the early punk bands in Cleveland, Ohio, or I want to say Columbus, but it's mostly Cleveland, I think. But he played the bass, and then he would do shows like when he's older, like had like a rhythm track, and he played like the bass as the lead instrument. He did like a cover of Strawberry Fields Forever. Amazing.
very cool. Okay, these are going to be some kind of broad questions. If your life had a theme song, like someone's going to do a biography, a biopic of Jason Rojas, what would the theme song be?
Hmm. Maybe shut the fuck up, Mazzy, dude. Just kidding.
Everything to you comes back to the VC. We'll get into some
Well,
VC
because you
questions
are
at
in
the
the
very.
vinyl community. Come on now. Get out of here. I don't know. I would think maybe Hall and Oates. Can't go for that. That
I
would be it.
can't go for that. Okay. Yeah, I think I shared with you that one where they teamed up with Chromeo when Daryl Hall
Yeah,
did.
that's a great one. You can tell that Daryl Hall was very apprehensive of the guy in Chromeo. What's his name?
Yeah.
Uh,
I forget
he's
his name. You're talking about the guy that had the thing in his mouth, the little vocoder thing.
yeah. He was very afraid that it wasn't gonna work, and then as soon as he heard him like just wailing on that vocoder, he knew,
Yeah.
like he knew that like okay, this is the Daryl Hall show. I'm not without Oates. You know, there's no Oates, but this guy, like he took it to the next level. You know,
He
that's
did.
important. Like when you're gonna do shows like that, you have to always take it to the next level, right?
Absolutely. Okay, this is going to be the desert island question. If you could only take one album to a desert island, what album would it be and
Just
why?
one,
Yeah, You're
just
you're stuck.
one.
You're stuck on an island. Only one album to listen to for the rest of your life. You don't have to listen to it all the time, but you're limited to one album.
Okay, so I would pick. It's a tough one. Maybe just out on top of my head, Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, "Safe as Milk," because that shit is hilarious. Like they get serious and they also get funny. It ends on Autumn's Child, which is so out of this world. Like, what is he talking about? Who's in Autumn's Child? What the hell is going on here? Like, that's a fun record. That would be the
Okay.
one.
Okay. If you could have dinner with any musician, living or dead, who would it be?
Paul McCartney. I would ask him all these questions like, why does this song suck? How did you come up with this melody? Why don't you like Waterfalls? That's one of your best songs. Do you think it's a throwaway? Why did you say that Pipes a Piece is a great record back then and then you went back on it now? Or press play or something, I would totally be asking him these inane questions. Like, what are you working on now? You know? Can I hear Carnival of Light? Right? These would be like the most stupid questions. What was John Lennon like in person? Right? Did he make you wank off in the circle jerk together? Like, these would be the craziest
Wait,
questions.
why would you do that?
It says it happened, you know.
Okay. I have like a couple questions about the VC before we get into that. I'm actually, let me do the VC question first, and then I'll get into my final question. How did you get? What was your intro to the VC?
You can blame it on the pandemic. We were all stuck, right?
So you
Sort
just
of.
decided to spin up a video?
No, I didn't do that. I started watching these videos, and
Who was the first one?
I think the first one was like sort of a tie, right, between Michael 45 and Norman Maslow. Those videos started appearing. Then Mike Esposito's videos started appearing because that algorithm was like kicking in, right? And then the more that I saw Mike Esposito videos, like my blood started boiling. Like, why is he saying that this is the best version? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, you know.
Did this drum up your old high school memories of doing shootouts?
Yes, it did, actually. I just was so confused. Why would he be like, it's kind of like, I didn't understand. Like, you could be like a blowhard on YouTube. Do you understand? Like, you could make these pronouncements. It's something like Esposito and PB Thal do. They'll say that this is the best one, right? But they really haven't shown any proof. They're just saying it. You
It's just,
understand?
I mean, it's all subjective, right? It's just their opinion.
Well, they wouldn't think that way, you know. They would say that as some sort of like, what'd you call it? Like, it's like me making fun of you, Joel, and then I'm just like, I'm just kidding. Do you understand? Like that they would do these things, you know. That would just get my blood boiling.
Okay.
Like, I didn't think they were right, you know, that I had to go discover that on my own, you know. And I have to say, like, thanks to them, right, by being a bunch of blowhards on the vinyl community, that helped me, like, get better, ask more questions, talk to more people about, like, upgrading my equipment, you know. So, got to give
Is
them
there-
some credit.
Yeah, I think this is why. I think this is one of the reasons why we get along. I had a similar reaction because it was the same for me. For me, it was Michael 45 and the guy up in Canada, the metalhead, 33 RPM, and I had the same. My reaction was different than yours. You were more not liking the fact that they were talking about oppressing being the best. I just couldn't understand why is everyone making videos about these old ass albums? Like who cares about albums that came out in the 60s and 70s? I get it, right? But at the same time I was like, why is nobody talking about the amazing albums that came out this year?
Well,
know?
because they're not. Like, you've got to, you know, when this video's over, I dare you to look at the data, right? The ages. One thing that, to add to that question, and I think we mentioned this in like privately, like one of the first channels was like Tales from the Crate. I think I told you and Dom this.
Yeah.
His channel is just amazing. Like, he didn't play music, but he was showing a lot of great albums, you know? And I reached out to him back in 2021, 2022, and I asked for his advice about joining the vinyl community. And he gave me 4 rules, and I broke them straight away. I think we talked about this last time with the Monday video. Yeah, like, he gave me the perfect advice. I did not follow it. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you just got to find your own way.
Should we answer the controversial question, since Vinyl Piper is a troll?
Sure.
Right? Okay. This is for...
Why is Pumping Vinyl so mad at you? Asking for a friend.
He's asking for himself. Let's answer this right now, since Piper is, eating the popcorn, waiting for the answer. He's mad at me because Nathaniel Mars and I streamed at the same time as him. So that wasn't like intentional. Like we were just going to stream because we thought it would be fun. We didn't know that William Pumping Vinyl was going to stream at that time. But okay, like anyone who thinks there's like some sort of like time slot that you can or can't do, that's just bullshit, you know? No one owns time slots in YouTube, right? You can stream whenever you want. You can play whatever you want. Don't let anybody tell you can't do this. Like you'll find out on your own. Can you play the Eagles? No. Your stream will get shut down. That's for sure. I know this. Right? But you can play the Beatles, you know? So yeah, he just got all hurt because we streamed at the same time. We didn't do it intentionally. Then, you know, as Mark said, you know, yeah. There you go. Okay. Hope you're happy with that answer, Vinyl Piper.
So just so everybody knows, the reason why I wanted to do this interview series is so that you can get to know the people in the VC a little bit better. I'm going to be interviewing people that are not in the VC. I just want people to kind of share what their relationship is like with music in general, and it'll get better. This one was a little all over the place with me with the questions. I've already have ideas on how I can like refine the questions. If you have ideas, questions you wish I would have asked, you can put them in the comments. The final question that I want to ask you before we end this is, are there any songs, artists, or albums that you'd like to recommend to people right now?
Are you sure about this?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to do this now. Thanks, Jill. What's the last Silverchair record? It's something modern.
I only know Frog Stomp, so I don't
what? Know. You're joking, man. You're joking. God. Somebody in the chat, what's the last Silverchair record? It's something modern.
I can look it up.
Yes, please look it up.
Okay, hold on.
I would totally recommend that record for sure. That's their best record.
The very last one was called Young Modern from 2007.
Modern. Young Modern. That's their best record. Not Frog Stomp. Gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were like teenagers when they made that record, man. Like that was like a hit off the gate, you know?
Was the I'm drawing Daniel Johns. Okay. I know there's some stuff going on with Daniel Johns. I know he went solo. Yeah. I just wasn't sure if he was on that album, but he is.
Yeah, he is. That's the last record. He kind of broke up the band. He just sort of said, like, we're done. And the other two guys, who now look like broke guys working at Starbucks, well, they look like they own a Starbucks or even like a donut shop.
So this is a tell-all book about their years in Silverchair?
Yep. I like how Perfect Prescription's like Silverchair. Yeah, give it a chance. Give Young Modern a chance, please.
Have you already read the whole book?
No, I've been reading it on and off. It's got some funny stories and it's got some sad-ass stories.
Yeah, I've seen interviews with Daniel Johns. Like, who knew there was so much drama? But I guess there always is.
Well, I think if you date Natalie Imbruglia, yeah, you're in for it.
Okay. Any albums you want to recommend?
Anything on the Wall. 1968, Francis Gall. If you love French pop, that's a good one. If you like pop that just goes totally subversive and you sell out, the Liz Phair record from 2001. Johnny Guitar Watson. I think I've shared this before. The Blues Soul of Johnny Guitar Watson. If you like standards and you don't like guitar, Johnny Guitar Watson just plays piano on this. All piano, no guitar. It's awesome. This is one of the best records.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in.
One more record.
Oh, yeah.
If you hate Jose, just tell him that Jane's Addiction, Which Roll de la Habituelle is your favorite record. That'll just piss him off. That's the way.
Wow. Yeah, Jane's Addiction is a group that I never really got into.
Really? I think they were
Yeah.
better live.
It's if I told you, like, if I explain like things that I'm into and things that I'm not into, it literally makes no sense.
What?
Like, uh, like I like Pearl Jam, but don't like Jane's Addiction. Or in
Wow.
I also don't like I like uh, like I like Beck, but don't like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like Blind Melon. I don't like I don't know. It's just it's very hit or miss with me. Some people think it's weird. I get told that I'm weird all the time. Like people are like,
You're
"What?
not weird,
You're
Joel.
into Skinny Puppy? Like, oh, and you're into Annie DeFranco? Like that makes no sense." And I'm like, I don't care. Like to me, like you said, you follow melody. I just follow good songs, and
Okay.
good songs means different things. Like what makes a good Skinny Puppy song is not what makes a good Ani DeFranco song, which is not what makes a good Led Zeppelin song. You know what I mean? They're different styles of music, and I listen to a lot of electronic music. To be honest with you, uh,
We
stuff
should
like
go into detail about that. Have you done that, like a deeper dive?
a deeper dive of what I'm into.
Yes,
No,
you should do
not
that.
not like on a
Totally.
video. Well,
We should
maybe
do
you
that.
can interview me at some point.
All the hard questions. We'll do all the worst questions ever.
Yeah.
You're about to get hit by a train. What's the last song you listened to?
Oh, well, I would pick "Gray" by Ani DeFranco if it's the last song I'm ever gonna hear. Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
There could be a lot. I could pick a Pearl Jam song. Uh,
We're gonna answer this question. Seaberg here. Why do you listen to shitty condition vinyl? I mean, I understand that it's the music stupid, but I've heard kids say that pops, crackles, and well, you have to teach them, right? That's the whole point. If you
wait,
show,
who is it? Who are they asking this question of? Because you don't listen to
um,
shitty condition vinyl.
I have some that are
Okay.
like rare, but like that's the only way. I have the Tim Maya Rational Volume 1, 2, and 3. My Volume 1 is probably like VG minus at best. It sucks. Like I should have spent more time to get a better copy, and now it's too late because it's selling for over what, 150, 200. It's too late. I messed up.
Right on.
Okay, so a couple of last things here. Maybe next time we flip the tables and Joel gets interviewed. Of course, we will do that. I think next time, the Groove Seeker and I will just like tag team on Joel until he either gets mad and flips like his shelves or cries. Whatever is better. You know.
Well, anyway, this is me questioning Jason, not the other way around. But music in the house. This is what I love. This is one of the things that I'm glad that you got me into the VC on because I find the psychology around music recommendations so fascinating. Um, I don't know if this will ring true with anybody else, but sometimes people can recommend things to you, and they'll think like, oh, if you like XYZ, you like it's obvious, like you'll like this other thing. And sometimes you'll listen to it. Like if someone does that to you, and you'll listen to something, and you won't be into it at all, and then because the person recommend for any number of reasons why you might not be into it at that time, but then something will click somewhere down the road, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, you'll listen to something. I'll listen to Low, for instance, and I'll be like, oh shit, like I get it now. Like sometimes you have to discover music. What's the way to word this? Like music discovery is like a fascinating thing. Sometimes you just have to find the right music at the right time, and eventually it'll find you. But sometimes music recommendations, they just fall flat. Like I've done this a lot where someone will tell me they like something, and then I'll recommend something that's like I think they dig, and then they just won't for whatever reason. And
Well,
sometimes
that
they will.
well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, kudos to Stunty. He's just playing music, and then you can find something that you like. And there's not too many channels that do that. There's only people just like talking, talking, talking. And like you were saying, if somebody recommends something, you may like remember it or you may not, but if somebody plays it when they're talking it to you, then you're definitely going to remember it and form an opinion about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. What Nathaniel Mars, he's about to start. We don't have the ability to raid like we can on Twitch, but
We actually could do that on his thing if he's going through my account. That would
you
be
can.
cruel, though.
Well, it says he's starting now, but he hasn't actually started. I don't know. Maybe he's waiting. But anyway, the Nathaniel Mars. I'll put the link in chat, or I can put it in my chat.
We want to thank. I want to thank Joel here for going easy on the easy questions here. I want to thank everyone in the chat for watching. Hopefully, it was fun. We didn't have enough dirt, you know. Joel didn't ask the hard questions like why do I hate Mazzy? Why do I hate Waxed? You know, none of this.
I want to be really clear about this. This interview series is not about the drama. We're going to do a separate thing that's like the history of the VC, and then that'll give Jason his opportunity to talk through all of the drama. But
oh my
this
gosh,
is getting to know the
really?
person. Yeah.
You wanna hold it till then, right? You want the educational part, right?
Yeah, this is about getting to know the person, the relationship with music, what kind of music they're into, and all of that.
You're so nice, Joel. Really.
So fuck you. Your mother's a cunt, and shut the fuck up.
You did not just did.
That's right. We'll do more next time.
Mother's a cunt, and shut.
Yeah, you guys have a good night. Go hit up Nathaniel Mars.
Peace, everybody.